Hello YouTube, this is NC Lord, and today we're going to be doing a new episode of my newest video series yet. I call it Rant Box. And today we're going to be discussing Konami as a company in general, but we're going to of course primarily focus on how they are as a card company. And for many of you who watch my channel, you must know that I am a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a game itself. When, you know, they're not doing artificial inflation and deflation of the ban list and all that bullshit to drive up the value of cards and all that. But today, I'd like to take a look at how they are compared to other card game companies, as well as reference a few parts of how they were in the past as a company as a whole, but when Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't the only major thing they did. I don't really count pachinko machines as a major thing they do, but they seem to. So everyone, join me as I discuss how Konami's been as a company. Let's begin with, how did Upper Deck handle Yu-Gi-Oh? Now this is always a polarizing thing to think about. Upper Deck has always... when they handle Yu-Gi-Oh! They were a bit more like Magic in that they didn't reprint as much, and values stayed up, you know? Like, super rare, ultra rare generally meant something, and was guaranteed to be worth at least a decent dollar. But nowadays, rarity doesn't mean anything. You could have a card that's ultimate rare or ultra rare and it's not necessarily even worth more than $1. So Upper Deck, some people argue, handled it a little better than Konami. They were a bit more player focused. They didn't reprint everything to death. That'll give them credit for. That's a major accomplishment. Because reprinting shit to death is a greedy thing to do. And Konami has been guilty of doing this. You know, a lot of competitive players have, I don't know if this is intentional, but a lot of them get this sort of hate. Like, it almost feels like they're projecting off of the fact that they've spent all this money on stuff, but when the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh!, even playing competitively, is there's no guarantee the money you'll spend, like hundreds or even sometimes thousands of dollars, will be worth it for very long. You know, and it's a very spur-of-the-moment card game. You know, like one day it could be worth, you could have a deck that's worth $1,000, the next day it's worth nothing because they reprint everything to death or ban all the cards or something. And that's what I always found frustrating, especially considering other card companies such as even Magic the Gathering. They have $1,000 cards. And, you know, they got some big money cards, but they also have affordable cards at the same time. You can still even play competitively for an affordable price. I had a friend who mentioned how his friend could spend like $200 on a Zephyr deck for Yu-Gi-Oh! But his other friend apparently spent $3 US on, you know, a Magic deck and could still, you know, win with it. So obviously, that's Yu-Gi-Oh!'s biggest flaw, is management. You know, OCG seems to have a more player-focused mentality. And the sickness that's in Konami's head, it feels like a mental health thing. You know, like, you have a friend who was once very functional, but suddenly has displayed later sides of schizophrenia. That's what Konami is like in many respects. They're that friend who's suddenly gotten a lot more sick. Like, sometimes they'll say shit that makes absolutely no sense. Other times they'll have moments of stability, where you think, oh, you're really happy for them, but you're very concerned at the same time that, how long will that last? How long will this stable moment in their history last? How long will Konami stay stable? Well, I think we all know the answer to that. Usually it's not very long. They're a fairly greedy company in nature. I mean, look at their history. There's not even a method to their madness anymore. They're only making pachinko machines, and they've stopped doing gaming, and they've had an impact on gaming history that is undeniable. You know, they've made classic games like the Castlevania series. I said I'd reference these points, but they've handled Yu-Gi-Oh! Very poorly. You know, it feels like they don't half the time know what they're doing. And this is detrimental to players, because them being money-focused has, you know, caused players to question. Some have even rage quit. Even vendors of Yu-Gi-Oh! Who once did vend Yu-Gi-Oh! In addition to other card games have found the game too volatile to waste their time and money on. And to a certain extent, I can't say I blame them. You know, I'd be frustrated too if you know, values went up and down over nothing, and because of this, people are more frantic and more likely to rob you in a way. At least that's my personal speculation. But Konami has really, you know, they make you wonder, what happened to them? They used to be great. They even made some interesting exclusive games based on Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the Konami game, Duels of the Roses. They didn't just publish it. They made that game. And that was more of a Forbidden Memories sequel, and Yu-Gi-Oh's rules were already developed, but it had some Forbidden Memories carryovers. It was an interesting game. They showed creativity, imagination. A lot of what I feel is lacking these days. Like, pendulums are not a very imaginative concept. They feel cheap. And sometimes stupid, in my opinion. You know? It's not like they're obviously very effective, but it doesn't feel like something that they came up with player-focused mentality. They were thinking, oh, how can we hype something for a cheap buck? You know, that it feels like that's the first thought, you know, that came into their mind. And it's sad because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has potential as a game. I don't think there's anything wrong with the actual gameplay. I think some archetypes and ideas don't work well with it as far as player-focused. And its management is poor. It's like a nice restaurant in a good neighborhood. Great location, the facilities are nice, but poor management. And that can make or break something, you know? And all we can do is hope that Konami will get their shit together. Otherwise, someone will do something similar to Force of Will, but with Yu-Gi-Oh! Make a good Yu-Gi-Oh! Knockoff that's not greedy, that's more player-focused, and understands the mentality of the loyal Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans, and will breed a less toxic community overall. Because I feel like a lot of what's wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Konami's fault, their callousness, their indifference to players, and their primary focus on money. That is the problem. Not the game itself. Some of the archetypes are a bit flawed, but Konami's callousness and indifference. This has been NC Lord, and I thank you for enjoying my Idea Box video. Like, comment, and subscribe.